Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am Ti Windisch, one of your hosts, joined as always by the on the go. I don't even know, a man about towns, Rohan Katti. Rohan, hello, happy Friday. We're breaking from our usual offseason schedule here.
Yeah, we are, because for once we have Bucks news to talk about in the dead of the off season. I'm at location number 2. Thank you to my gracious host.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. Always on the podcast grind, Ty.
Always on the podcast grind. So if you are blissfully unaware, on Thursday, and shout out to Jordan Tresky, who cannot get through a day on Discord without accidentally calling our group chat, but was the first to note and pass. It was like 10 minutes after the article went up, Jordan was like, I'm seeing this around. I'm seeing snippets. I was like, I couldn't even find it at first. He was on it so quick. But the New York Times released an interview with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think they got it because of the business stuff with the Antetokounmpo bros, because that kept coming up and was a focus. He was like hanging out with Alex and all this stuff. So I'm guessing that was the hook. And it was written by Tania Ganguli, I believe is how that's pronounced, hopefully. But of course, the headline and everything got very a familiar thing for Bucks fans. It was called on their website right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo wants it all, even if it's not in Milwaukee. And I think there's actually another headline in here somewhere too. Very similar thing. But honestly, I mean, we'll get into the full quotes. But before we dive into specifics, Rohan, and there was some noteworthy, I think, news in here as well as just some general sentiments. Does this feel that much different than the GQ article like 3 years ago to you?
No. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said this is a familiar feeling for Bucks fans, because Bucks fans have been living this reality for the last, 6 years or something? Like, as long as Giannis has been good, like all first team All NBA or just All NBA where they all star like 6-7 years. That's as long as Bucks fans have had to deal with this sort of stuff. And it's valid, because if you are a team, if you are like a market, if you are a franchise like the Milwaukee Bucks, you're going to have to deal with this stuff if you have an otherworldly generational talent, because it takes a lot to keep a guy there. It does. Like that's the harsh reality. It takes a lot to keep a superstar generational, once in a generation, best player in franchise history type talent with your franchise if you are a small market team like the Milwaukee Bucks. However, one thing the Bucks have done is do that so far, is actually do what needs to be done, take the steps. They won a title. They did the thing. It'll be at least, the minimum gap will be 3 years between the Bucks titles.
Yeah, I mean, I think people... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, continue.
People forget, I think, like, how close it felt in 21 before he signed, or in 20, I should say, before he signed. We were like, a couple of weeks away, basically, from
the season starting?
Well, and from which it was the same date, right? The extension deadline was the start of the season, I believe. It was December, but it was obviously a COVID year. But like this was after the title in 2021 in GQ. It was very hard, but we did it. It's all about bringing a championship here. Very, very hard. I just love challenges. But what's the next challenge? The next challenge might not be here. Me and my family chose to stay in this city that we all love and is taking care of us for now. In 2 years, that might change. I'm being totally honest with you. I'm always honest. I love this city. I love this community. I want to help as much as possible. This is not new. I think there's a bit of a reaction from national folks every time something like this comes out.
Rap Sheet was tweeting about it, Ty.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening here?
I have no comment on Rap Sheet. I just a grown man going by Rap Sheet. It's never sat right with me. But I just think like Giannis has consistently put pressure on the Bucks because. And, I think I want to shout out specifically. I think both of us are pretty bad at this. Clayton in the GSPN Discord, which they've been talking about this all day. All yesterday, probably today too. But you can join at our gspn.info. You can join the Discord. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We're posting more short form vids, very hip and modern. But he posted, I think Dame may have something to do with this. And I actually agree with that, with a kind of a renewed push to the Bucks. Not saying like Damian Lillard's trying to get Giannis out of there or anything, but Giannis seeing what's happening with Damian Lillard. Because you look over at the Blazers, and that until this year, that was another example of the loyalty thing, right? Of like, he's going to stay there forever, yada, yada, yada. I think they got too comfortable and kind of took Dame for granted, or just decided it was time to move on. They've the last 2 years, they've done the opposite of the Bucks. I mean, we know the Bucks have been pretty much all in. They've spent a ton of money. They traded in so many picks for Jrue. Then they traded picks for PJ. Obviously, they lost PJ, but they've kept that cast around Giannis.
Traded picks for Boss Man.
They've traded picks. Second rounders, but they've traded some picks for someone every year, and they just paid a bunch to keep Chris and Brooke around. And I think they have not left many stones unturned. We'll get to the draft picks they haven't traded in a little bit, because I do think that's relevant given what's going on. But Dame, they stopped trying, to be honest. They traded away Josh Hart at the deadline. They've picked in the lottery the last 2 years. Those guys are still on the roster. Like, they're not using those guys as trade chips. They're building a new core while Dame is still there. And Dame is like an MVP-ish player right now. This past season, when he was healthy, he was a guy who would be on MVP ballots. It was the best year of his career. Yeah, and I think the whole league, players notice this stuff if it's not in their city. Like, I think it can be overblown, like no one's ever going to sign in Portland again. Folks, I don't know if you're aware of the last 50 whatever years. No one's ever signed in Portland. Like, that's not new for them. That's not changing. But I do think like a player like Giannis could look over there and go, oh, I don't want that. I don't want them to plan for the next era without me. He specifically says, and we can get into some of these quotes, but he mentions rebuilding at one point in here. Like,
while you say that, it's not so far, like, it's not difficult to underestimate like the Dame connection, because those two are friends.
Yeah.
Like, it's like those two have a personal relationship, so it's difficult like not to see how that connection is there.
Yeah.
But sorry, continue. Rebuilding.
I've got the quote. So I think this is one of the biggest ones. So Giannis said, "You've got to see the dynamics, how the coach is going to be, how we're going to be together. At the end of the day, I feel like all my teammates know and the organization knows that I want to win a championship. As long as we're on the same page with that, and you show me and we go together to win a championship, I'm all for it. The moment I feel like, oh yeah, we're trying to rebuild. There will never be hard feelings with the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe that we've had 10 unbelievable years, and there's no doubt I gave everything for the city of Milwaukee. Everything. Every single night, even when I'm hurt. I am a Milwaukee Buck. I bleed green. I know this. This is my team, and it's going to forever be my team. I don't forget people that were there for me and allowed me to be great and showcase who I am to the world and gave me the platform. But we have to win another one. At the end of the day, being a winner, it's over that goal, the goal of playing his whole career in one place like Kobe and them did, is what he's referring to there. I just took out a bunch of Giannis quotes to talk about. Winning a championship comes first. I don't want to be 20 years on the same team and don't win another championship. I don't think any of this is that startling. I know why people are reacting the way that they are. I think there's some news in here we'll talk about with the extension comment, but I think there's never been a point ever where Giannis was like, yeah, it's fine if we suck. Like, I just want to be here. And
it's like once you get the title, you can't just quit.
Yeah.
You can't, because again, you have the once in a generation best player in your franchise in his prime on your team. Just because you won one title, which by the way, incredible. Like, incredible. Like, so awesome. Let's not undersell that. But you gotta get more. You can't give up. You can't give up. I talked about this like the offseason after they won the title on this podcast. There is a difference between these one-off titles and dynasties. The Bucks should never be this one-off title team, because to be honest, this team is so much greater than like those Dirk Mavs, those KG Celtics. You got to get more than one. You have the chance to be dynastic franchise. You have to take that. You have to take that because you have the talent, you have the player who, like you mentioned, after they won the title, was on GOAT trajectory. If you don't fulfill that, you've done a bad job.
Yeah, and I think it's going to come down to finding another star to put next to Giannis. A lot of the response to this has been, "Oh, they got to win it all this year." And I mean, like, yeah, they kind of always have to.
It's always title or bust.
Yeah, but I don't think it's losing the conference finals or the finals this year and he's gone. Personally, maybe, who knows? But I don't think so. I think similar to last time, this was a talking point. As we get closer to that contract date, he's still got quite a bit left. I mean, we know what NBA players can do, but he's still got 2 seasons before the player option, which that's going to get declined. But 2 seasons to go. I think
a $52 million player option or something?
Yes, 51.9. You're very close.
Something like that.
It's so funny that we're just like, yeah, no shot. He's taking that. I think. But yeah, so next, I think it actually lines up exactly the same as the last situation. After this season, this offseason, they're going to have to make a trade. I think even if they win the title, maybe that's the exception. I almost think either way, Giannis is going to want to see the new co-star before he signs the extension. I think maybe winning a title doesn't, but I think that's exactly what he means. I mean, he's basically saying he wants to be set up to be successful for the rest of his career. I mean, Giannis is in his age 29 season. I believe, does he turn 30 this year? Or no, he turns 29 this year. Does he turn 30?
I think I'll double check. Keep talking.
I think he turns 29 because I thought he's just a little older than me, and I'm not yet 29. But anyway, either way, he's around 30 years old. So still has prime seasons to go. And
he will turn 29 in December.
Okay, that's what I thought. He's still got a lot of prime years left. And I mean, frankly, more than Jrue and Chris. And we've talked about this. It's no slight to them. They're just older. And also, they're not perfect perimeter complements to him anyway. So I think they're going to have to, almost no matter what happens this year, they're going to have to make that next Jrue trade. They'll be able to. I mean, again, I'm taking a mini victory lap. I've been calling out this upcoming offseason for a year now because they'll be able to trade 3 first-round picks on draft day 2024. They also will be able to.
This is why this article happened.
Yeah.
This is why Giannis is saying this. Because Giannis is in his team. They're not idiots.
No.
Like, they know exactly what they're doing. And they know, hey, the Bucks are going to have assets to make a big splashy trade this upcoming offseason. So if you want that to happen, you got to put on the pressure because that's what they did last time. And they got what they wanted last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't let the Bucks. I don't know if they would anyway. I mean, given Horst MO, I don't really think they would. But you cannot let them plan for the post-Giannis era. It can happen. I mean, I know Golden State still got one. It was harder than it had to be for Steph's 4th for the same reason. I mean, they did the 2 timelines thing. It's been a spectacular disaster, and those kids didn't contribute at all to that title. I mean, I think if they don't win that...
I mean, Jordan Poole did, but...
Jordan Poole's not one of the kids, though. I mean, when you talk about the kids, it's Wiseman.
He was like a second-year player or something.
Well, yeah, but I mean... He was like a second-round pick, right? Or a late first?
Yeah. But no, you're right. The kids were
Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody. Wiseman. Yeah. And I'm just saying, like, those are the ones everyone said, oh, should they trade or not trade those guys? Poole did help them that year for sure. And they've gotten very little value out of those guys. Like, I mean, they got a broken abdominal GP2 back for Wiseman. Okay, great. It could have been LaMelo Ball. That would have been nice for you. And then Modi. Oh my God. I didn't even mean
Was that a bit?
No, it wasn't. I didn't even mean to. Moisey Moody and Kuminga just haven't played that much. Because we know this. It's really hard to
You've taken the park thing too far.
Carry the hell on. Rohan, carry the hell on. But we know that, I mean, it's hard for young players to contribute. Steve Kerr doesn't trust those guys. It's not shocking. It's not shocking at all. And I think Giannis does not want that to happen, very understandably so. I have my doubt if it would anyway, but I'm not surprised to see him ratchet up the pressure. And even if they win it all, Giannis doesn't want Chris and Jrue to go. I mean, we've talked about this too. They're filled with tradable salaries. They could trade for someone making $20-30 million without those guys. It would cost you multiple players, but you could do it. And they'll have 3 first-round picks, that whoever they take on draft day, and then 29 and 31. They may need to duck the second apron, to trade that last pick. Things get a little complicated, but regardless, they're going to be in position to make a real move for the first time since Jrue, I would say. I think they're going to. I'm pretty sure they're going to.
They are going to, because, again, the last time this happened, when Giannis was up for an extension, he literally had a list of players that he wanted, and he knew the Bucks had assets. He had a list. He's like, go get me one of these players. They did. He signed the extension. They win title.
Do you want to talk about very quickly, some of the players? Because this is the question in people's mind.
Manuel quickly.
No, he's not that. You're not that guy. Pal. Not that guy. He's a good player. He's not that guy.
Who said that literally to him this season? Was it Scotty?
Oh, I don't know.
I think Scotty Barnes did.
I don't keep track.
Or was that Quentin Grimes? I think it was Quentin Grimes.
I don't keep track of mid-offs, Rohan. I don't. If it's not involving the Bucks, I don't need to know this.
So should we talk about some players?
Yeah, I mean we've done some of this, and I don't want to dive deep. I mean, we have a whole season to talk about that is not going to include any of these guys. I have a new one though. I've been mulling over.
Okay, here, let me name one.
Yeah,
someone who hasn't signed an extension either.
Okay,
Kawhi Leonard.
But would that be free agency?
Would it? I have to check his contract. I just came up with that off the top of my head.
They could probably extend and trade or something. I think that's too old, though. He can sign MLE.
If Kawhi Leonard signs with the Bucks on the MLE, I'll do the same tattoo thing that we did for Marjan.
Oh, yeah. What he has to score 83? What did we say?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
He has a player option for 24-25, so he could opt in and trade.
Oh, the Harden.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I think it's got to be someone a little more sustainable for the next 4 years.
Okay. Who's your name? Give me a name.
If things are just still very meh in New Orleans, would Brandon Ingram be available?
That's a good name. I've
seen Pelicans podcasters put, I kind of think Trey Murphy's actually the best wing on this team. And it's okay,
you do realize you have Brandon Ingram, right?
And obviously the podcasters don't make the decisions, but we know that. Thank God.
What are you talking about, Ty? We make the decisions.
I mean, they listen,
yeah.
But they don't have to do what we say. Let's if they're just mid again, and they're just you know what, we just got to switch up something. We can't trade Zion because no one will give us anything. We really like Trey Murphy as our new big wing. Yeah, we've done business with you before. We'll double down. Would that I mean, the appeal for New Orleans is actually there, right? Of if this goes wrong, I mean, we have 5 years of runway now for the Bucks. If you're ever bad, we're gonna get a good pick, basically. And I think he's better than people think, still a little bit, even though he can be a little inconsistent. But my God, imagine trying to guard a Brandon Ingram Giannis pick and roll.
You can't with the length, the shooting touch, the ball handling ability. He gets to his spots so easily. That'd be incredible.
That would be. I don't it's again who knows, that he may not really be available, but it's just one of those. It's one of those guys that you could see it. No one would be stunned, I think, if in a year they traded Brandon Ingram, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say Luka. Would that be awesome? Yeah, I don't think.
Is it possible? Maybe.
Probably not.
It might be.
He's going to have a lot of years left. He just signed. I just don't think they would do that for 3 firsts. And
yeah, what if Kyrie asks out again, and then the Mavs are just a tire fire?
Listen, anything's possible. I want to be a little more realistic. One name who I think maybe doesn't even cost all the picks. I think doesn't. I mean, they could probably just go get Karl Towns as a last resort. I mean, was Zach Lowe the one who threw out Jrue for Karl Towns? Who says no? So. And people were kind of like the Bucks.
Yeah, I think the Bucks do say no in that situation.
They don't have a pick to trade, which sucks. It depends how desperate you are.
That's your Brooks successor.
Yeah, but I still I think I said on Twitter I'd go on strike if they get him, because I just don't believe in him as a winner. But I mean, that the kind of offensive upside, if the asking price is really just like one player on the team who's not Giannis, it's not a bad, like, okay, at least we have this in our pocket. I don't like it though.
Yeah, that's fair. What about LaMelo?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I think Trey is kind of the same. We've talked about Trey before. That same kind of player a little bit.
Small.
I mean, LaMelo is not really defending, even if he is bigger.
Yeah, but he has the tools to be a good defender.
Sure.
He does.
Okay. What do you think LaMelo will, for the rest of his career?
Do you think LaMelo's going to try more than Trae Young?
I don't know.
I do.
I think he's going to have a good year.
Even if he tries like the same amount as Trae, he's going to be a more impactful defender just because of his size.
That's fair. Oh yeah, that'd be intriguing.
Like Trae's literally the worst defender in the league.
Yeah.
You can't have that point of attack liability.
True. DeJounte Murray? No. Oh, go ahead and not good enough.
LaMelo, in terms of like the creativity, the ball handling, I'm almost not even going wing. I'm going guard, because it's like, what are your dream pairings for guys like Giannis, Steph, Luka, Dame? Like, these are all like high efficiency, like high usage guards, and it's like, yeah, we should try and target players like those, because obviously that's the dream matchup for Giannis. You got your elite big, you got your elite guard. Just run it up.
Yes, but I don't think it has to be a guard.
It doesn't have to.
I mean,
of course, but it's like
my dream with Giannis. Could we just drop in Chris from 4 years ago, and then maybe none of this is happening because they're still so set up for the next? I mean, I think there's some truth to that.
You know whose fault this is?
Who?
This is the old practice facility's fault.
Oh yeah, I thought you were gonna blame like Chris's parents or something.
No, my God, no.
Should have had Chris 2 years earlier. We would be in a much better spot right now.
This is the old practice. I forgot his name already.
People are gonna get so mad at us. I don't remember it. The one in St. Francis. I don't remember what it's called.
The one they shared with the
Giannis tried to buy it. The Priest League.
This is gonna whatever. We'll remember at some point.
Yeah. When people, how could you forget the whatever? No, but I think it's the skill set. I do think it has to be a shooter. I mean, Jrue as the third guy, it's been fine, but I think when you're looking for one guy to bring in, I think it's got to be a shooter to complement. Yeah, I think they're aware of that. That's why, like, Towns as a center is a really weird position, but he's such a good shooter that you can kind of see. And maybe he still have some picks to go get someone else. One I threw out that's a little less exciting, but I think could really work, actually. Zach LaVine.
Ooh.
Just kind of floating around. When he's healthy, has been really good. You have those questions again, but
Adam is going to hate that.
That's fine. There's no perfect answers here.
He does fit the prototype.
Yeah.
Like an elite slasher who's also shown he can be a good shooter.
He's adapted his game as he's lost a little athleticism. Like, I think he's
which he still
and
has.
Can shoot.
Like,
he still can dunk.
Super athletic. Yeah.
Yeah. If DeMar again,
not prime Zach LaVine.
Like, if DeMar was like 4 years younger again, I'd be all in. But right now, I just don't think it's really that feasible. He's not a great 3-point shooter, but he's so good from 2. I think he and Giannis would be a great. I've always thought this, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Tyler Hero.
It's underwhelming, but
it's very underwhelming.
How do you feel about the he versus Maxey combos that are going on right now? I think it is closer than people say. I think Maxey has more upside, though.
I think Maxey has more upside, too. It's just tough because he's small.
Yeah, I do agree with Heat people, though, who are like, Hero is not in a different category right now than Maxey. I agree with that.
No.
I'd be very underwhelmed. And we'd have to put like huge signs on all the bathrooms in Fiserv. Like, so you can't ignore which one. Like, we need like ridiculously big, like a Flava Flav chain sign, just to make sure.
Flava Flav.
Yeah, he'll be around. Hopefully, if Marjan doesn't go out in the deal. One we've talked about before. I don't have a real feel for this, but I think their summer makes it more possible down the line. Jalen Green. It's just hard because he's so young, but
it hasn't popped yet, and they need someone who can pop right now.
I know. Yeah, that one's risky. Year. That's risky depending on what his season looks like. But if he's really good, they're probably not trading him. But if he has like I'd say the perfect season for the Bucks trading for Jalen Green, if anyone wants to track this, continues to shoot well and just like defends and assists at a slightly higher rate. But like the scoring goes down because now they have Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks there or whatever. So it's like his scoring number is like, he took the casuals, I took a step back. He's scoring less, but you actually watch and he's like, that's a career high assist rate for Jalen Green. That's intriguing.
Like a lot more mature.
Yeah.
Probably won't cost a lot to get him then.
I mean, I think the picks it probably will, but salary wise it won't because he's still on his rookie deal. So that's where, if they win a title and they just want to add some youth, you could trade one veteran and 3 picks and that would, salary wise get you there. I don't know picks wise, but the Rockets they want to compete. It's a weird situation over there in Houston.
Why do we need this star guard? We need Pat Connaughton.
I think they do. I think they didn't get their center last year. How about, is Bobby Portis the answer?
Is Robin Lopez the answer?
There we go. Now we're talking.
Imagine they trade Jalen Green for a minimum and 3.
I hate to be the one who said it wouldn't work under the CB. He makes like
no, it wouldn't work.
Unfortunately,
I know.
Anthony Simons. He's been talked about plenty. People thought Jrue for Anthony Simons was really on the table.
I mean, maybe it was. Who knows?
I do think, based on everything they've done, I think they were like, no thanks. We're trying to win in 5 years, actually. Drew's going to be retired for 3 years. I do think it's going to be more like the Bradley Beal kind of player than the Jalen Green kind of player.
I agree. It's going to be an established player who's probably, again, on the older side.
Yeah, I mean, the older, quote unquote, like these guys are like Giannis's age-ish. I think that just makes sense. Like, both from competing the most in Giannis's prime and like those players just tend to be available more. You don't see that many Jalen Green trades unless he looks like a bust, right? Like on his rookie deal. Like teams are just like, because like I think they kind of acknowledge like, we don't know what this guy's going to be in 2 years. Like we don't want to trade him now and then he pops and he's playing with Giannis. Like I think there's a fear there. I think it would be someone on a second contract at least. So like Hero is probably on the younger side of that would make sense because he's proven enough. Like Maxey, very young, but again, has proven enough. Not that I think, again, Morey would trade Maxey for Bobby Portis or whatever, because again, the salary that would make that.
Is it even going to be Morey?
That's a good point. Fair enough. Maybe if there's a little rebuild happening there, it's more appeasing to Philly. I guess we'll see.
Embiid?
The fit is just really bad. I mean, you'd probably have to do it if it was possible.
You have to do it. You have to.
It would be atrocious hoop.
Would have been a 3-way trade. You go trade for Joel Embiid, then go get Luka.
You want both of them?
No.
Okay, I was going to say, I can't do these convos with you if you want both of them. It's greedy.
Let me be at least somewhat realistic.
Are you? I think here's a take.
You go get Embiid, and then you go, okay, what's your take?
I'd rather just get all the picks in the scenario than Embiid if I'm the Mavericks and I have to give up Luka.
Yeah.
Like, oh, good, I have a worse player to slot in with my bad supporting cast that couldn't win with Luka.
Trade. Mavericks can trade Embiid to someone else for something.
Send him to Miami.
And for what picks, though?
True. Would you do Bam for Embiid if you were the Heat?
Yes.
I don't think I would.
I think I would.
I don't think I would. That's maybe my hottest take.
Well, we know you're like the weirdest Bam supporter in the world because he's the most elite mid-range shooter of all time. But you have to say that Joel Embiid is a level above Bam Adebayo.
Is he in the offs? I'm just going to sip my coffee. Yeah, in the offs. Is he in the offs?
But you're going full Michael Beasley, getting shots off the or whatever. That's it. deep cut.
That's an extremely deep cut.
I think he is. I think he is in the offs. I've never heard anyone call it the offs.
The offs. I started this in a group chat a while ago, and I just think it's so funny. I think it's close in the offs, at least. Bam's younger and a lot healthier.
That is true. That is true. Bam is more consistent.
Yeah.
He's more consistently mid.
He's more consistently your second best player on a very good team. And Embiid is like, in the regular season, he's an MVP in quotes, but in the playoffs, he's kind of looking like he's got the Harden stink. I'm just saying.
With the Miami conditioning, though.
Would he die?
I mean, it depends on what the Philly medical staff did to him.
So I think that's a yes. Anyway, okay, I think that's enough of the. I mean, again, but some of these guys could get extended. There could be other guys that open up that make so much more sense. But I think the Bucks have known this, that they've needed to do this. I mean, they were in on Bradley Beal, despite it almost certainly costing you a star player. I mean, I think just certainly. I don't think there's any other way they could have done it. And I think it was all about cost. Like, oh, we can get a 29-year-old guard who can shoot like this and pair with Giannis for not even depleting or for whatever picks we have or less. We almost have to do it. As much as we love Jrue or Chris or whoever would be going, we almost have to do it. I just think that's where they're at. I think they will be very active next summer in more than just a keep the team around kind of thing. But they didn't have the picks this summer, and there wasn't anyone who made sense outside of Beal, who, again, they tried. Like, they were in.
They tried. It's Beal wanted to go to Phoenix. Like, you can't do anything about that.
Not with a no trade. Yeah.
That's what happened. Beal met with all of these teams. He decided, I want to go play for the Phoenix Suns, so he's playing for the Phoenix Suns.
Which super weak, by the way, but whatever.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, have some shame.
Whatever. Anyway. Sad. Should have been the third banana here, not in Phoenix. Have some honor. Have some respect, Brad.
Brad. You're a grown man going by Brad. I shouldn't say that. It's Keith all over again. I apologize. Brad is a fine name.
I'm just going to move on. All the Brads are turning this off in disgust. The millions of Brads tuned in.
No, we love Brad. Brad Fisher.
That's true. We do love. Oh, I hope Brad Fisher doesn't listen to this one.
No, we love Brads. I changed my. I was just kidding. It's early. It's Friday.
Okay, it is. It is early. But yeah, I think they tried for Beal. I think they're gonna be really active trying to find that player. I think they'll find one. I mean, I think you still get to play with Giannis. They found Jrue. I trust they'll be able to do it again now that they've over time let those picks come back in. Also, as uncomfy as it may be, you have new trade chips named Marjon Beauchamp, Chris Livingston, Andre Jackson Jr. We'll see how those guys look. It becomes harder to let go of them, but they have more value. Green. AJ Green, the better they look. Thank you. I knew I was forgetting a fourth guy, and I kept thinking Lindell, and I was like, in a two-way, he's not really a trade chip, but AJ Green certainly is. Although he's on an expiring, I believe.
Yeah, it's a 1 year.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it'll happen. But yeah, Giannis said, the extension news. So this was closer to news. He said the real question's not going to be this year. Numbers-wise, it doesn't make sense, Antetokounmpo said. But next year, next summer, it would make more sense for both parties. Even then, I don't know. I would not be the best version of myself if I don't know that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going for a championship. Everybody's going to sacrifice time away from their family like I do. And if I don't feel that, I'm not signing. So, Rohan, why don't you explain to the listeners why it doesn't make sense for Giannis to sign an extension until next summer? So he becomes eligible on September 22? Yes,
I think that's right. Yeah.
For a 3-year, $173 million extension.
Yes. So he cannot get a 5-year extension before this season starts. After that September 22nd date, he's only eligible for, what did you say, 3 years, 175?
Yeah, 173. It's 57.6 million per.
Which is, he's not going to take that. That sounds like a ridiculous amount of money. One, because it is. And two, but that's not the maximum amount he can get. He's going to be eligible for the largest contract in NBA history again, like next summer. Like that's just, again, that's how these work. This is why you're always going to see the sticker shock with like all these guys getting the largest extensions. Jaylen Brown this offseason. It's not going to be that until like next year. But that's when Giannis is going to be eligible for his big 5-year, $300 million plus extension. So you're not going to sign a 3-year, $173 million extension this September. It's ridiculous. Like, you're not going to do that. And with this new CBA, they have allowed players to extend before their like 1 year remaining on their contract extension, where you can get the 5-year. They've allowed for more than the 120%. They've allowed for like an additional year. It's still not enough.
Yeah.
That makes sense for like non-star level guys. Does not make sense for star level guys like Giannis.
DeJounte Murray, one example.
Exactly. Even though people thought he maxed him out.
Well, yeah. Well, the funny thing is, in the article I was reading about the new extension rules from CBS, he was the guy cited as like, probably still doesn't make sense for him to extend because he's still pretty limited. And I was like, oh, heck, he disagreed with you.
Yeah. Whoever's running the Hawks, I forget. Who's running the Hawks?
It's not Schlenk anymore. I don't think I remember who it is.
Kyle Korver's assistant GM or something.
Is it Landry Fields?
It is Landry Fields.
Boom.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense for Giannis to sign an extension this fall. And to be honest, like that's what the assumption was.
Yeah.
At least for me, I was like, yeah, of course he's not going to sign this fall. It's going to be a story. It's always going to be a story when he's eligible for an extension and doesn't sign it or whatever. But it just doesn't make any sense for him to sign it. And the Bucks have to know that as well. I'm sure they would offer it.
Of course. You got to offer it.
He's like, hey, here's all the money we can give you right now. And he's going to say no because it makes the most sense. Even if like Giannis, like knock on wood, has like it's just a bad season. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
He's going to be all the money is going to be there next summer. Like without a doubt. Like it's going to be there. He's going to take nothing less than the max. Because duh. This makes sense. I don't understand why people are trying to frame this as something bigger than it is, because this is how it makes sense.
Yeah. It's been pretty known from people who know the cap that he probably would not extend this year, like going into the summer. Like that's just been how it is. So certainly not a surprise.
And for example, like Anthony Davis signed an extension. Giannis couldn't do that similar type of extension because of the years left on his contract and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one thing in that quote, just a little bit off topic, you said, Giannis said in that quote, like I not knowing if everyone's on the same page to win a title, I don't know if I would go as hard as I do, like or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Previously, in this same article, he said, for all the nights in Milwaukee, I've put it all out there. I put it all out there. So it's like, yeah, if the Bucks continue to be a championship level team, this is no issue. It really is. It's no issue because Giannis in the past has said like, yeah, I want to be a Buck for life. I want to be like the guy. And yeah, they just have to be in a position to win more.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's literally it. Nothing has changed. Because if the Bucks are not in a position to win, Giannis is not going to be on the team forever. Yeah. And anyone who assumes that's not true is just oblivious to the landscape of the world.
Yeah, and it's, you mentioned small markets earlier. I've wanted to talk about this. It's literally every superstar. I mean, the guys that we look at now as the pinnacle of loyalty that Giannis himself has referred to. Kobe Bryant demanded a trade from the LA Lakers after winning a three-peat with Shaq. They went and got Pau, and they figured it out. But, like, that is a star player in the biggest, most glamorous NBA market who had won 3 titles. And what was it, like 06, 08, whenever it was? He was like, actually, I'm good. I want to be out of here. You guys aren't doing enough.
They had a trade lined up with Chicago.
Yeah, and they strong-armed it, made it through, and got Pau, and the rest is history. But like,
I think it was Luol Deng is the reason that Kobe was not on the Bulls,
which is absolutely insane.
And Luol Deng, I think, was also the reason that the Big Three didn't form in
Luol Deng, man, Luol Deng loves parity in the NBA. We love to see it, but. Yeah, it was like, and Kobe and Tim Duncan. I was just watching a video.
Almost went to the Magic.
T-Mac talking about, or was it T-Mac? No, Grant Hill.
Yeah,
Grant Hill talking about Yeah, I mean, we had the dinner. We had the same agent. We were all set to go, and then Doc said, "No, you can't bring your family on the plane." When the Spurs let him do that, and it was like that close. And Tim Duncan and what would have been Penny and Grant Hill would have all been on the Magic, and the Spurs dynasty would have been done right there, whatever year that was. So like all
Dirk
these,
Nowitzki almost retired to the Outback or whatever he did.
yeah, I mean, like Dirk is probably the closest, but he's a level below those guys as a player. And the fact that they got it later made it more likely for him to stay. I mean, they were trying and they were so close.
Late stages of his career.
Yeah, like they were trying, they were so close. And then that high from it lasts a couple of years. And then after that, it was like, yeah, I'm just old now. Like, whatever, I'll just stay here. Cuban's clearly giving me part of the franchise illegally under the table. Like, I'm good now. If Giannis tried really hard and stayed and won one when he was like 32, maybe you could see that happening. But to win one when you're young and then kind of go through this period where they haven't been back to the finals, like it makes sense that he wants more. And I just, not to like denigrate those great players or question their loyalty, that's how they should operate. And that's how it's always been. Yeah.
It's like, even if you want to be like a Kobe, a Duncan, these are the steps.
Push the team. Make sure, because I mean, listen, not the Bucks specifically, these teams will cut corners if you let them. That's just how it goes. Yeah. And not letting them is important. And I think Steph is now the modern loyalty guy. All it took was like a double dynasty, kind of like two different dynasty cores. I mean, they had the best team in regular season history. They lost. They had Kevin Durant. They run off two more, and then in the next couple of years they win another one. I mean, that's a really good way to make sure that there's no kind of push to get out when also they're in freaking, and even the Bay Area.
Tried to do the two timelines thing, and it almost cost him.
Yeah, and I think Steph has been a little vocal lately about you're keeping Draymond, you're keeping Kerr. Like he hasn't, I think, threatened to leave as much. It hasn't we haven't gotten there, but he's certainly voiced his unhappiness, and that's just what you have to do.
They re-signed Draymond. Clay's a free agent next summer. It'll be in Klay Thompson, free agent.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
But also, and Steph, has not gotten farther. What have they gone? Max 2 years without winning a title for like the last half decade.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's like, of course he's not out. They keep winning. He has no time. He has no time to demand a trade or no reason.
They're one of the greatest dynasties in NBA history, if not the greatest.
I mean, they're clearly the best team of the last 15 years, 20.
Easily.
20, right?
Yeah.
Going back to those Spurs teams that won multiple, and I mean they're getting close to the number of rings at this point. So
they're one off.
Yeah. I just think this is life. It's stressful. It's certainly still preferable to not having these problems, which means
it is stress. It is deserved stress.
Yeah.
Because this is the price of having one of these players. You will give everything and anything to have one of these players on your team. And if you do, this is one of the costs you have. And I will take this cost any freaking day of the week over having to deal with not having Giannis.
Yeah. One quick thing I've seen this sentiment just a couple of times, but somebody I've seen shared like, oh, Giannis doesn't want to play with the young guys this year. I think that's a stretch.
Which young guy?
On the Bucks.
No, I know, but like, which one of them's playing?
No, exactly.
One guy who has a chance to be in the rotation and probably should is Marjan.
As the 10th guy.
Yeah, and is the guy who was working out with him in Greece this summer.
Yeah, like they've gotten younger players on their roster, but by no means are they like depending on these guys to start or something. I mean,
it's like having some young talent over Myers Leonard and Goran Dragic.
Yeah, I don't think this has much to do with. I think Giannis would anything be pro Ajax and Chris Livingston and just having a future for the team, but they're not going like full Warriors where they're turning down the opportunity to add star players to get these guys. I mean, Marjan was a late first, and then Ajax and Chris Livingston are both seconds, AJ Green was undrafted. Like it's a lot different, and none of them are forced into huge roles. They'll have to earn them because the team is still really good. They still went and added a veteran this year in Malik Beasley while bringing back their other 3 veterans that were free agents. I think that is a big stretch. I would not be worried about that concept at all. If next year they lose a bunch of vets, they're not really set up to be honest. It would have to be a trade. I think they'd be welcoming in some new players. So I think that's an overreaction. I don't think they've gone too young by any means. I think they've pretty smartly kind of said, let's develop these guys, give them some opportunities when we have the minutes open. But, it's not like we need Andre Jackson Jr. to be good this season for us to win a title. He could not play at all. Frankly, it would not really matter to the 2023-4 Bucks. Like, they're not built to rely on any of these guys.
For sure. They're not like supposed to be. They're not a young team. They're still a very old team.
Significantly less old, though.
Yeah.
I mean, when you swap Wes and Ingles, who were, a combined 70 years old?
What do you put it like that? That's not like that sounds like a joke, but it's not.
No, it's like literally. I think they are. But you bring back Robin, so that brings it up a little bit. But like the amount of young players they've had. I mean, what is Chris Livingston and Ajax are combined like 40, 41? Yeah. Maybe 44 like at oldest. I don't think they're both 22 though. No, Livingston's 19.
Livingston's 19.
And what is Andre? 21?
21, I think.
21. So it's combined 40-year-olds. So from 75 to 40.
Let's see if he can do something for us.
Hey, there we go. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on while we're here? Did we miss anything with this Giannis combo?
I don't think so. Because, again, like if you want you can go back a couple years back and get our safety. Because it's the same thing. I'll say this is a wake-up call.
Yeah.
This is a deserved wake-up call for the front office, for the ownership, for the franchise.
For almost like poor Adrian Griffin, who's like, oh, I better get it together. I better hit the ground running.
Like, Giannis was influential in his decision to be hired.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to be able to step up. Like, Giannis, basically chose you. You have to deliver. No, that it is pressure on Adrian Griffin, and it's deserved pressure. It's deserved pressure for Adrian Griffin. It's deserved pressure for literally everyone in the franchise outside of Giannis.
I think including Giannis too. I think he puts it on himself.
Including Giannis, for sure. Because we know he's always going to put that pressure on himself, like you mentioned. But we know what Giannis can do. We know that Giannis always delivers. Everyone else needs to deliver.
Yeah. And one last thing, because I've gotten this a little bit. It's not that we're saying Giannis will never leave. I know our attitude has just been mostly like positive on all of this. I mean, the Bucks could lose Giannis. It's certainly possible. I think our attitude is a little flippant because we've literally been through this before like twice, and we just know the routine. Like it is a lot of pressure. It is really high stakes. It's sports but it's like that's just how it goes. Like we certainly hope the Bucks deliver and get to keep him for the rest of his career. There's a chance they don't. We're not saying everything is fine and there's no shot. We're just saying like this is how it goes. Like this is just the way things are. The fact that he's still here at all is kind of a huge win given Milwaukee and the NBA scene for literally ever. So it's not that we're brushing this off saying it's nothing. We're just saying it's kind of the reality we've always known. Like before this article dropped, we weren't walking around going, Giannis is a Buck for life no matter what. Like if you listen to any episode where we talk about Giannis's future, we'll always say they've got to remain competitive no matter what he's saying. He said he wanted to play for the Bulls last year, dude. Like Giannis is always throwing these little things out there because I think one, he just likes to have fun. And two, like he's just like he always wants the Bucks to be competitive. So
and again, that's his right. Like he deserves to be able to put that kind of pressure because he has elevated this franchise, this city so much.
Yeah.
That he deserves to be able to put this kind of pressure on a team.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And I just think it's not that we are so convinced everything is fine. It's just that this is the parameters we were already operating under. So it is what it is. It'll be a talking point for a few days for NBA publications. That's fine. We've all been through this before. Just anyone you see mad about First Take or whatever, just send them the Gyro Step. Say, here, we got some Giannis discourse. Do that instead. We'd appreciate. anyone listening at this point in the Bucks offseason. And yeah, we'll be back with FIBA World Cup coverage, offensive tweaks, a bunch of more content coming soon.
Yeah, if you want some talk on what Adrian Griffin can do to succeed, we talked about defensive changes last week. We're going to talk about offensive changes soon, probably early in the week, as we always do. I know this is breaking the Gyro Step schedule, but we're not abandoning the Gyro Step schedule.
No, we just had to get an extra one for something this big. We had to get on here and speak our truth.
For sure. And everyone should carry the hell on because you are just Kendrick Perkins. That is incredible that you did the Modi Moody thing. It is absolutely incredible.
Do I have to do this now?
Just breathe into them.
Is that Perk?
On that note, we'll say thank you for listening to this episode of the Gyro Step here on Blue Wire and GSPN. Make sure you check out gspn.info, like Ti mentioned earlier, for all of our links, including our Discord link, where there's a lot of good discussions happening. Everything's on there, all of our podcasts, playback link, whatever you need, it's on gspn.info. Make sure you follow the Instagram and TikToks, like Ti mentioned earlier. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.